Hello, welcome back, viewer. I haven't made a video in a while, and I wanted to do some commentary on some different video clips here of things that have been going on in society. I wanted to talk about Mayor Zohran Mamdani's response to the attempted terrorist attack in New York against Jake Lang and his conservative protest against essentially the Islamic takeover of New York, Islamism moving into America. So I've got some different clips today on that topic, and so I'm gonna play this video here and do some commentary on it. I'm just gonna show you the first part. I won't subject you to too much of socialist, Islamist Mamdani.
Good morning. On Saturday, a protest was held outside Gracie Mansion, where I live with my wife, Rama. Neither of us were home at the time. This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy entitled Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City.
So he's now framed it as a vile protest rooted in white supremacy. He's framing the argument, framing this what happened right from the start as the problem being white supremacy, because opposing Islam is somehow white supremacy. I didn't realize that being opposed to a set of ideological beliefs is racism. That's kind of stupid.
I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home.
Again, he's setting it all up. It's all about Muslims as victims. You've got a situation where the Muslim guys are the terrorists, as is so often the case. And he's setting up the entire narrative here right from the start as Muslims being the victims. Oh, the bigotry. Oh, you got to set the evil white supremacists. You know, if you didn't know, you'd almost think it was them that had thrown the bomb, not the Muslims. So, okay, but do we expect anything else from Mamdani? He's just getting started.
While I found this protest appalling, I will not.
Oh, I was surprised when he said that there's 1 million Muslims in NYC. I went to the internet and Googled that, and the AI tells me that there is somewhere between 750,000 to up to 1 million, 9 to 12% of the city's population being Muslim. That is wild to me. What is it about New York City that is drawing so much of Islam to it? Like, how is that happening? How is that possible? In New York City, don't they have aren't there like naked women that walk around in the in that downtown area? Oh, I'm spacing it. It's where the ball drops. You know what I'm talking about. I'll come to it when I stop trying to think of it. But like, isn't there all kind of lewd stuff there? Like, what is it about New York City that would draw a massive Muslim population? I mean, I can't help but thinking, like, New York City, you weren't supposed to forget. The slogan is never forget. And clearly you forgot. Clearly the people either left and got the hell out of there, who did learn, and the rest that stayed did not. This represents Islam in New York City, and now we have another representation of it with those guys throwing their failed bombs, because at least they're not good at making bombs. At least they're not good at it. There is that. Okay, what else does Mamdani have to say?
Not waver in my belief that it should be allowed to happen. Ours is a free society where the right to peaceful protest is sacred. It does not belong only to those we agree with. It belongs to everyone.
I don't think he believes these words. I think these are the right things he's saying, but I don't believe for a second. I think that they'll make it harder for conservatives to protest. I think they'll withdraw police protections, make it harder to get permits, not get police involved if left-wingers are getting violent against conservatives. He doesn't believe this. He's a socialist. And I don't know, is he more socialist or more Muslim? Either way, neither of these belief systems believe in the right to protest and the right to freedom of speech and things like that. How's protest going in Iran anyway?
I will defend that right every day that I am mayor, even when those protesting say things that I abhor. Let me also be clear about something else. New York City will never tolerate violence.
Really? Never tolerate violence? I mean, never mind that as a city of many millions of people, there's violence going on there every day. Never mind the cashless bail they started doing. So people are they get handcuffed, sent to jail, and immediately are walking back out like the same day. Obviously, this violence did happen. It's a city that makes it very hard to own or carry a gun and makes it illegal to carry them like anywhere. Absolutely, the left in major cities, blue cities like New York, encourage violence. They want criminals to feel bold, empowered to do whatever the heck they want, and that lawful citizens will be the ones living in fear and who will be arrested if they dare defend themselves against this guy's constituents. Oh, I've got another video here. Let's see on that nonviolence. How's it going?
Called for an afternoon romp in the snow here at New York's Washington Square Park.
Oh,
pretty quickly, NYPD responded to 911 calls of a disorderly crowd.
Oh, Mamdani said they don't tolerate violence.
Suddenly, the throng started aiming their snowballs at the men and women in blue. Police were taunted and pelted as they withdrew.
That's just a friendly snowball fight there. That's all that is. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine seeing police officers going to respond to something? I mean, it looks like they were to respond to that crowd, and picking up a snowball, forming a snowball, picking up a big chunk of snow. These guys are law enforcement. They are working a job and throwing something at them. The amount of gall, the amount of disrespect, obviously the cowardice because they're in a crowd. Would they dare to do that if it was just one of them? And then Mamdani dismissed that as just a playful snowball fight. Now, I have no doubt there's other more violent things that I could go find any day of the week, but that story came to mind. I know that just happened. Just the disrespect there, the lack of concern for assaulting police officers, while at the same time hearing him now saying that they won't tolerate violence. That is violence, throwing things at police. They're on the job. They're not there for a snowball fight. It's just it's a more gentle version of the lawlessness that the Democrats, that the left in these cities encourages. Anyway.
Whether from protests or counter-protests, many of the counter-protesters met this display of bigotry peacefully.
Bigotry. They love these words, man. Phobias, bigotries. It's like if you hear the word, basically means you can probably dismiss anything they're about to say. Anything that they're criticizing with these magical words, call something racist, phobic, bigot. It means that whoever they're criticizing is probably just saying something that's true. And what's he saying?
The vision of a city that is welcoming to all. But a few
wait, I gotta
did
go
not.
back. I got to go
all.
back.
Many of the counter-protesters met this display of bigotry peacefully.
Oh, right. So this is really nice. He's being so nice to his constituents here. Oh, when you got a crowd of leftist people there who are opposing Jake Lang, the conservatives, and the GOAT. And then you have the terrorists throwing a bomb at him. He's going, well, most of the people there were there peacefully. Most of them were there peacefully. It's so nice that he's separating out. I mean, this is true. I mean, I can't fault him. I'm not aware of the other people there not doing anything violent. I think in another video I saw that people were saying that actually the people in the crowd were making death threats and things, but I don't have a video clip of that. But he's separating out the peaceful from the violence. Now, my question is, why doesn't he do that, or why don't the leftists do that with January 6th? Many thousands, tens of thousands of people being peacefully protesting on January 6th. Only a small proportion did anything that was violent. The people that entered the Capitol building, most of that was peaceful. Why the separation when the leftists are peacefully having a mostly peaceful, fiery, burn the building down protest? They get the leniency of going, well, it's just the ones being violent who are violent and the other ones are peaceful. But if conservatives are doing it, then they're all bigotous, white supremacists, vile. They're all part of it. And you need to lock up like as many of them as you can, if anybody was even there present at the thing. All right. You can see the blatant hypocrisy in that, the partisanship of it.
With a vision of a city that is welcoming to all.
Vision of a city that is welcoming to all, except the likes of the evil conservative white supremacist guy with the GOAT and the protest. Not welcoming to that. Not welcoming to Americans that want to preserve America. Apparently, New York City is a city that just kind of belongs to everyone in the world. Not allowed to have your own country, not allowed to have your own cities. Now, they can decide that they don't want conservative people there, that they don't want American citizens to be there. That seems to be the leftist view. And like, if you're not a conservative American, then you're welcome. You can be from anywhere you want to come and do whatever you want to come and apparently throw bombs in the city. It's like Mamdani is going like, come on, you're welcome. They don't discriminate against terrorists. Now conservatives, now that's something else. But terrorism is like, it's an open city.
But a few did not. Two men, Amir Balat and Ibrahim Qayyumi, traveled from Pennsylvania and attempted to bring violence to New York City.
They traveled from out of town. How dare they? People came from another state. These people came from Pennsylvania to commit a crime? No. People do not cross state borders to commit crimes. I won't believe it. I mean, they don't cross national borders to commit crimes. I mean, that's Mamdani's and the Democratic Party's stance. The stance of the left is people definitely do not cross borders to commit crimes. So I'm having a hard time believing that these guys, born and raised in America, would not cross the state line of Pennsylvania to go to New York City to commit a crime. That's the most heinous thing.
They are suspected of coming here to commit an act of terrorism. There is video of these two individuals throwing two devices towards the protest. The police department has determined that
Why can't we just call things bombs? They're devices, they're IEDs. Can't we just, come on. It's a thing with a fuse. I mean, it's practically like from a cartoon. It might as well be like the Coyote with one of his Acme bombs. Like, that's the level of sophistication that these guys had, but I digress.
These were improvised explosive devices made to injure, maim.
The military's got to have its acronyms. I'm sure the military came up with that. They love acronyms.
Or worse. Thanks to the swift and decisive actions of NYPD officers at the scene, both men were immediately taken into custody, and the devices they brought taken off of our streets.
Get those bombs off the streets. Just like he wants I'm sure he wants the guns off the streets. Get the bombs off the streets. How did they get there? I don't know. There's just bombs on streets, and he's getting them off the streets. There's just guns on streets, too. You know, you just got to get those weapons off the streets. Weapons are just out there killing people. You got to get them off the streets so the weapons stop just killing people. And my collar keep falling over. Getting those bombs off the streets. So, what was I going to say about that? Sometimes I just space things as I'm talking on here. Making the streets safer. He's not talking about the ideology. What was the ideology? He prefaced already, I know Jake Lang's ideology, according to Mamdani, is white supremacy, apparently. I wonder if that could be like libel and if he could sue Mamdani for claiming that about him. I mean, the left says that you can't identify other people in ways that they don't identify by, and you can't misgender and mispronoun people, but apparently throwing slurs at them like describing their entire entity as white supremacists is okay in their book. Okay, don't call a trans guy a guy or a girl, whatever the misgendering would be in that case. That would be the equivalent of violence. But if you don't like somebody's politics, go ahead and throw them like the worst slur you can at them. Call him a white supremacist, basically calling him a Nazi. He's basically saying that it was a Nazi rally. That's what he's making it akin to. That Jake Lang and the conservatives were essentially thought criminals, daring to protest against peaceful Islam. Meanwhile, we know nothing from him about what these Muslim guys represent. There's no mention of them being Muslim or Islamic. Maybe the other lady comes on, because I know there is more here. This is a 13-minute video, and I haven't bothered to watch it because I don't care to. I think I did hear some more of it. But I've heard enough of Mamdani here. He has already framed it as a white supremacy sort of thing, and so that's all the viewer is supposed to know or care about. That the real bad guys had a bomb thrown at them by guys whose motivations are clearly unknown, and don't think too much about it. Like, why would guys throw bombs? Well, this is a very open city. Why would guys throw bombs? Obviously, it must be that the conservatives antagonized them to do it. You know, and in the heat of passion, they had to just pull out their bombs and light those fuses. And they threw them at cops too. Okay, what other videos do I have to talk about here? I have several videos here. Yes, CBS News. I was watching some Matt Walsh, and he talked about there's many. It sounds like many news agencies were mischaracterizing, misportraying this. I know when I first was hearing about that the terrorist attack when it happened, one of the women who came up and spoke at a podium seemed to frame it. I got the impression as if it was maybe the conservatives, that it was like conservatives that threw the bombs at Jake Lang and his guys. It was like that, unclear as far as who the terrorists were, because you've got them framing it all about the awful white supremacy of Jake Lang. So what we've got here is a video of CBS, and let's watch this.
The FBI is investigating two men after an explosive device with bolts and screws was thrown into a crowd.
I saw this clip on Matt Walsh, and so she's talking about two men having bombs, throwing them into a crowd, talking about this terrorism. And what do you see on the screen there? There's this guy. I assume these are conservative guys. I don't recognize the guy in the picture. You got American flags. With terrorism investigation right there on the screen. What would somebody casually viewing this be inclined to think when they hear about a terrorist attack? There's a terrorism investigation, and who are the people being portrayed here but the conservatives? Is this just a slip? Is this just a slip? I mean, surely these news agencies wouldn't do this on purpose, and surely they don't all get their information and what they're supposed to use in their headlines and talk about all from some same source. Surely not. I wish I had like a clip that I could go in here and show how they do that, because they do that. I've seen in other videos and things in the past. It's like, oh, what's the news story that happened? And then there's like 15 different news agencies, and they've all worded their headlines in the same ways and talk about it in the same ways and the same talking points. They're clearly all getting the guidance, it would seem, from the same source and how they're supposed to portray things. Surely this is just accident from CBS. You can't hate the media, the mainstream media, enough. If you think you hate them enough, you don't hate them enough. You need to hate them more. They are liars and deceivers. I think what Joseph Goebbels of the Nazis, he would be proud of the left, of how they've taken the propaganda game and run with it so powerfully and deceived so many people. What else does she have to say here? I don't know if I need any more of this clip here, but I'll let it play a little longer.
It happened in New York City on Saturday during
There's the guy.
a protest that turned violent outside the mayor's official residence.
Just threw that little bomb at the officer. Just dropped it there. This is like a video game.
During a protest that turned violent outside the mayor's official residence.
Now,
CBS's
I'm surprised. Honestly, it's almost surprising. They didn't expect that, obviously. Bomb attacks happen so rarely that one probably is just not going to expect, like, having a bomb thrown at him. But what I'm surprised about is that he didn't get himself shot at that point. That no officers took that as he's armed. He just threw a grenade. Nobody shot him after throwing that device. Obviously, in the heat of that moment, and the quickness of that happening, probably just confused by it. He doesn't appear to be armed after that point. But that was a risky game he was playing, because certainly at the point of being armed with the bomb, the fuse is lit, that certainly they would have been justified in doing that. But I think in the state that New York City is in under Mamdani, I think if these officers had realized, let's look at that again, had realized that he's holding a bomb, he's going to throw that at them like that would have been justified lethal force, I think, at that point, or leading up to that point, if they had known. But again, that in New York City under Mamdani, they're probably extremely hesitant to use their guns on anybody. They're probably extremely hesitant about using the violence of the state to enforce laws there. They're probably terrified of not just losing their jobs, but being thrown under the bus. So as far as their careers and legal safety,
the mayor's
running after them to tackle them was the safer thing to do there. Do I need this video at all anymore?
Chanel.
What's she gonna say?
And Jerika, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who is Muslim, was inside Gracie Mansion when a small anti-Islam protest took place here yesterday afternoon. A larger counter-protest then showed up, and police say two men who were part of that group brought those homemade devices.
Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I did notice that she made the point of saying it was a very small protest. They point out when liberals have protests. Do they point out if they're small protests? When Biden or Kamala had events where barely anybody showed up, did they bother to say how big, or rather how small, the attendance was to those things. She made a point of saying it was a larger counter protest that shows up. Maybe I'm overthinking it there. It strikes me, knowing how utterly biased and frankly disgusting the left-wing media is, that there's a little dig there, little dig. I mean, it's factually true. I think the Jake Lang protest was small, and I'm not sure that the size of the counter protest. Maybe there were more people there. I don't trust a thing these people say. If they said the sky was blue, I'd be like, what's your angle? What are you trying to get out of me? You don't know what a man or a woman is. What are you saying the sky is blue? Okay, what else do I got here? I've got an Amala clip here. Look at some more CNN, some more left-wing media lying. Okay, I'm gonna move us around because I think I missed the clip right at the beginning. This was supposed to be the first thing I was going to show you. Here we go. This is CNN.
And say Muslims don't belong here after an attempted terror attack against New York's Mayor Zohran Mamdani.
Except there wasn't a terrorist attack targeting Mayor Zohran Mamdani. And
Whoops. Terrorist attack on Mayor Zohran Mamdani. Now the liberals are framing it. You've got CNN framing it that it was Mamdani under attack, and not the conservatives as the victims. They're just making up fake news. Wow. And now I did want to come back to, it says GOP lawmakers say Muslims don't belong in American society. Okay, what does it mean to belong in America? If you look at what Islam teaches, if you read the Quran, spend like 10 minutes reading the Quran. Please go now. Pause this video. Spend 10 minutes. Read like 10 or 15 pages, maybe that would be fast reading, of the Quran, and see how it jives with American society, with the Constitution, with the Christian and Enlightenment basis of our country. Go and see. Do a little history into Islam. See what it's about. Spend some time. Do that. Do that right now. Pause the video. Go learn about Islam. Come back. Tell me, does Islam mesh well with the values of American, the values of a democracy? We're a republic, which is a form of democracy. We have freedoms of speech and freedom of religion, these constitutional rights. We've got a aspirational free market economy, very much not, but nevertheless, we've got ever increasingly liberal values, very liberal social values. And however much on the conservative side we may disagree with things there, nevertheless, to have the freedom to express oneself and be very individual is very much a part of America. Does that jive with the religion of Islam, with what we see in Islam as it manifests in dozens of countries in the Middle East and Africa that are dominated by Islam? Do these things actually go together, or is that just a BS liberal sort of whitewashing lie, right? That the leftists in feigning multiculturalism just sort of whitewash Islam. They whitewash the beliefs. They suck up to the apologists and will the Muslim apologist says that it's a religion of peace, so I guess it's just a religion of peace. And Muhammad frames Muslims as victims throughout the Quran, essentially. And so, they're victims, and the left loves anybody who is brown or brown adjacent or whatever, and so must be good and bring them here and more of it. Does it actually fit? Did you do it? Did you look? Okay, I'm gonna go back to that other part of this video where there was some more lying from CNN, some more of the same lie. What is Amala gonna say about this?
CNN's Anna Navarro, who we also see on The View, said this about the terrorist attack in New York City.
Ironic is, so supposedly some of these comments are as a result of the attempt against Mayor Mamdani in New York, who was raised Muslim, was he not? Himself. Yeah. So they're being anti-Muslim and they're finally defending Mamdani over something.
To be clear, the attack wasn't on Mayor Mamdani. It was on people protesting. It was attacking protesters, people protesting Mamdani.
Right by his house.
To frame it as an anti-Muslim attack would actually completely reverse what happened. Someone who shouted
I'm not saying that it was
Allah Akbar
anti-Muslim. I'm saying that they're finally doing that Republicans are finally doing something.
Oh my gosh. So she pitches the lie that the attack was against Mamdani, and then she just kind of keeps going with it, turns this into just like fabricates even more onto the lie. Oh, well, Republicans are finally supporting Mamdani or something now that he's been a victim of an Islamic terrorist attack. And then she wants to like go, well, the facts don't matter. Don't let facts get in the way of a narrative. You know, that's Enlightenment thinking. These are Marxist postmodern deconstructionists. They like a good story. They don't want to get let a little facts get in the way of a good story, a good narrative. Okay, let's see. So that was that video. Where else do I want to go from here? I have more. But wait, there's more. I have many clips for you. All right, I've got the podcast of the Lotus Eaters here. They're going to talk about that bombing and the guy that was used as a springboard, the liberal simp for mass migration and suicidal mass migration. They're going to talk about him. Okay.
The lefty here. Sorry, there we go. If I can get there. There we go. Here is his story. He's a quote unquote comedian. That's not me quote unquoting it. That's him quote unquoting it. But just some libtard activist. As I was in the middle of saying, as a born and raised New Yorker, we welcome everyone to the city. When he threw that over my head, I still stand by it. As a born and raised New Yorker, everyone is welcome, except Jake Lang. So because Jake Lang is right wing, he's not allowed. But even after the terror attack, he's like, no, I still welcome the Muslim from out of town into my town. Because as you see, for those familiar with Jake, he's an evil right winger. And I cannot stress enough, it was right near our feet and it did not look real. We just stood there laughing. Meanwhile, the incel femoids ran away having been totally jester-mocked.
I didn't expect that. So
no,
what does that mean?
it means that they were wusses because this guy threw an explosive. But the bomb squad were like, yeah, no, it was an improvised.
Yeah, so the incel femoids, by which he means people that don't agree with his opinions.
Yes.
Did the sensible, adaptive, and reasonable thing.
So the terrorist guy, I don't remember his name. I don't care about his name. He can go rot in jail. But he runs, that goofball runs up, kind of springboards off the guy and throws the device. And so that guy, his name is probably on the screen here. This text is so small. I can't see it. Oh, this guy... Walter Masterson. Okay, so he was the guy. He's virtue signaling that. Well, as he's speaking there, he's talking about welcoming all people into New York City. He actually. Because I listened in on what he was saying. I think I've got another video. I think I've got a Crowder video that talks about it. But essentially he's talking about welcoming all people into New York City right as he's used as the springboard for terrorism. You couldn't get a better picture of the suicidal idiocy, empathy of the left and this virtue signaling, because he doubles down in his post on Twitter. He doubles down. I think I heard a recording of him talking about it afterwards. Now, later on, he admits that it was essentially stupid to not get away from the bomb. But initially doubles down. He does not change his position, of course, on the subject of immigration. But he mocks Jake Lang and the conservative people there for running away from the bomb. That's a little pop-up. He mocks them. He mocks them for having survival instinct, while he and the other libs there just stand. Is that a bomb? They just stand there. They no sense of risk. It's like, well, I mean, what is it? It's like, well, it's one of their own. It must be from their own people, so they are immune to it. Well, it's from one of their fellow liberal activists, so they're immune to it. It's not real danger if it's coming from their side. Is this like they view themselves as the main character in the show sort of thing, main character syndrome, that, well, it's like nothing can happen to them? Are they so preserved from the dangers of society that they can't possibly fathom that they are standing in the presence of danger and continue to do so? And the virtue signaling is that he's willing to risk his life. He's willing to die for the cause. He's willing for other people, for other Americans to die for the cause, that people from around the world absolutely have the right, if they want to come in here, they want to come into the city, into America, that it is Americans' duty to die for that cause. It is Americans' duties to subject themselves to whatever violence, whatever risk, whatever threat that could come with that. It is their virtue signaling duty to offer themselves up, as he has. He sticks by that. He'll die by that. He'd rather die from the terrorist bomb than be viewed as, or shift his position to one that would be viewed by fellow leftists as racist or bigoted. That's essentially what he's saying, what his position is. That's insane. And I'm sure he votes. People who think like this, they vote. They go, oh, more danger for American society? Now they'll be all for banning guns. They'll be all for disarming you, and while simultaneously letting out criminals. Now, the guy, I just noticed the facial expression on this podcast here. I'm just noticing this guy's facial expression is perfect. Can I make that? That sums up my feelings on it. His facial expression just sums. I don't know what his name is there, but I like the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. They have good commentary on things, especially things going on in Britain. Oh man, the lack of survival instinct. It's both. It's meta and micro, right? They have no survival instinct there right in the moment, and then they have no survival instinct at a societal level. They are. He would gladly bow down to being a tool of Islamic terror, both on the micro and the macro level, for the sake of virtue signaling. This is the depravity of a sinful, God-hating mind. I think the further away from you go from the Bible, you risk being pulled into the ways of the world, and the ways of the world right now are just going insane. Anyway, I do see it as a spiritual battle, though. I was just reading the book of Isaiah, and in the book of Isaiah and these Old Testament prophets, you see what happens when a society goes down into the paths of sin and rebellion from God, and just how insane a society will go. And it seems just remarkably similar to what is happening in Western societies now. Now, let's see. I've got a Steven Crowder clip here. Got some commentary on this. I hope I've got it on the right time here.
That guy came from outside.
Yeah, people running to.
Go back here.
Now, you'd love to be able to, you won't. Here is another angle for people who missed it.
And we want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside.
It's like, where's lesbian Waldo?
We want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from the outside. And then he gets interrupted. Now, so the irony here that this is the Masterson guy I was just talking about. The irony of him pointing out, saying that he's a New Yorker and therefore where he's born matters, that he has more clout, that he has some say over his city because he's born here, that he's saying that people can't come from outside and start claiming things about the city. You don't get to come from outside. He gets interrupted there, but obviously he is being a hypocrite, declaring that, well, there's something special about being born in a place. There's something special about him actually being born in New York City and having lived there, that he should have a say over New York's policies. And yet the very say he's saying is that outsiders should not have a say about New York City, or I guess American immigration, because cities don't get to determine immigration law. Hey, sanctuary cities and leftists don't get to decide your own immigration policies for your cities or your states. That is federal. That is not for you. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I digress. The irony that he's calling the conservatives outsiders, essentially, they shouldn't be able to dictate policy. And he's saying that everybody is welcome while he's being used as the springboard for essentially a grenade to be thrown, a bomb to be thrown. The height of liberal left-wing idiocy here. Oh, what else am I gonna say? I've got some notes. There's also the irony of the blue cities, of Democrat cities being sanctuary cities and telling, like in Minnesota, telling ICE agents to get out. So again, that double standard that it's their place, so they get to tell other people to leave. Oh, I thought you didn't believe that. I thought that was racism and bigotry. But if it's your city and your liberals, you get to tell conservatives to leave or federal ICE agents to leave. Like, how does that work? So where you're born does matter, and you do get to dictate policy for that place, and you do get to tell people to go away, but only if you're an ever-shifting leftist, arbitrarily choosing, well, maybe it's not arbitrary, but consistently choosing foreign people than criminals over your fellow citizens and over law-abiding people, and gaslighting and minimizing the concerns of those people. Oh, one of those concerns is jumping off of your back here, Mr. Masterson. Wow. Okay, so like that irony runs real deep. Okay, let's see. His point also is like, again, he's been born in New York, and so that comes with privileges. We are American citizens. We have privileges here that people who are not citizens do not have. This is our country. This is our place. Not just my home. This city is my city where I live. This state that I live is my state. And this country is my country. So, of course, I have a right to dictate things and to express my opinions about my own city, state, and country. Just as apparently these left-wingers think that they have a right to do, except they don't think that they don't think concerned people who are concerned about like Islamic terrorism or about intentionally being replaced, or about the crime, about the increased housing costs, about the inflation that comes, about the fraud and the exploitation of our taxes, and all the things, and the human trafficking, all the things that come with weak, inconsistent immigration laws, inconsistently enforced laws, weak laws, all of that, flip-flopping policies. We actually do have a right to be upset about these things, and it doesn't make us bigots and phobes and all that sorts of nonsense. Our job is not to bow down to the interests of foreign people and being exploited by foreign individuals or foreign nations, from intentional infiltrators, spies, saboteurs, who knows what. It's like the left doesn't think any threats come from outside. It's like they only think the threat is conservative white people. It's only conservative white people. It can't possibly be that where you have the incentive to come in and exploit a country, to come in and use its laws against it, and get on its welfare systems, and get into places, and use the democratic system to get power, and use that influence to support other countries or tribalist groups of people, instead favoring your own tribe of people and not being loyal to this country. Like, they can't seem to imagine that having open borders, unenforced immigration policies does not invite utter disaster with it, that we cease to essentially be any sort of country if we're not enforcing these things, and we're ripe to be pillaged and taken over within some generations. And they seem to think, well, that would be a good thing, that it would be for the best. Well, America is just an evil place that just, it's stolen its wealth from everybody else, right? That evil corporations, Apple and Microsoft, they go off to Africa or something, and they go dig into the ground, and they pull the Apple computers just right out of the ground, and the Microsoft computers right out of the ground. We're just pulling the technology, the things that make us a wealthy and successful and technologically advanced and civilized country. We're just like robbing it from peoples around the world. And so they essentially all have a right to it and need to come here and steal it back, because it's not stealing, because it's well, you can't steal from somebody on stolen land. Oh my gosh. I still don't understand how these people how these people on the left, especially the far left, remember to like breathe, put pants on. Like, this guy knows how to dress himself and use a megaphone, but he doesn't understand the dangers bouncing off of his back of wide open borders to ideologies that hate us, want to replace us, totally are not aligned with us, and is constantly bringing about violence in the world and threatens violence in the West. I have, let's see, what have I brought up here? Oh, it's a wonderful little website. If you've never heard of it, it's called thereligionofpeace.com, and it tracks Muslim violence around the world. Here we have the Jihad Report, February 28th, 2026 to March 6th, 2026. There's been 45 attacks. There's been 168 killed, 283 injured across 15 countries. It tracks a total since 9/11. It says 49,067 Islamic terrorists. Islamic terrorists have carried out more than 49,067 attacks since 9/11. And if you go scroll to this page, you can see it's all documented. In Sudan, on the 11th, just yesterday, it says mostly schoolgirls among the 17 killed in a drone strike by an Arab militia. People killed by an Iranian cluster bomb. Some of this is Iranian attacks. India, a Hindu father is lynched by a Muslim mob over a water balloon incident related to Holi. There's stuff all the time here, and it just keeps going because this is what Islam produces. And it doesn't matter if many Muslims are peaceful. It doesn't matter if most of them are peaceful and not engaging in it. Like, lots of Christians don't follow through with their Christian beliefs. Of course, there's if there's any radicalism in Christianity, it's to be like extremely self-sacrificial, extremely loving and kind and giving and generous, and perhaps extremely morally self-scrutinizing and pure. That would be a radicalism in Christianity. So it's a different kind of moral demand. But I would understand that as human beings, that most people would not want to engage in violence, that they would be inclined towards, even if their religion calls for violence, inclined toward either ignore those things, not read those things, make excuses and justifications to not give in to those things. Like, that seems entirely sensible, but nevertheless, it produces some proportion of people who absolutely will do those things, because that's what the religion of Muhammad is all about, is the violent takeover of the world, of the whole world. Just like Marxism. They have this in common, in that both are totalitarian and aimed at global domination and willing to do any amount of bloodshed to accomplish that task. And New York forgot. Okay. Where do I want to go from here? I got one more clip here. Going over to, this is called A Righteous Perspective. This is a great channel too. They go by ARP. And this was a few months ago, but I just caught this video and thought I'd hit on this one. Now, before I show that though, like, as Americans, our loyalty ought to be to our fellow American citizens. These people are our neighbors, and as Christians, we're called to love our neighbors, and our neighbors, first and foremost, are these people who are here as fellow citizens, here legally. And we're not being loving to our legal citizens and neighbors if we're welcoming in criminals, if we're welcoming in lawlessness, if we're sinking the very ship that allows us to float and be successful and be a world power and be an economic powerhouse and be able to be a light to the world and be able to give and help the world and things like that. You don't help that mission by overwhelming yourself so that you are torn down and replaced. Our duty is not towards people who view us as like an economic zone. They have no history here, no fealty, no love, no foundations here for our country, no loyalty to this country, and are just using it for welfare, just using it to so that they can maybe bring their families here too and make their own little tribe and stay cut off from the rest of society as they just build their own community and have their own culture within the community that isn't really meshing with the rest of American society. Why would a country have any duty to people from other countries for that? Why on earth? No other sane country would be doing this. Now, Western countries are all suffering from the same ideological plague of the left. But other countries that are not part of that are not doing that. This is a modern and stupid and evil phenomenon that you would sacrifice your country and its citizens for the vague notions and cause of just like, well, everybody else, anybody who wants to come here must be a innocent, harmless do-gooder who couldn't possibly bring any harm intentionally or unintentionally. No foreign nations would exploit this. No groups of people, individuals or organized crime would exploit this. And if there's any negatives, it's really the positives so overwhelmingly, they're so overwhelmingly positive that if you got to suffer a family getting wiped out by a drunk illegal alien, if you've got to suffer the cartels flexing and going to war sometimes in your country, because if our borders are open, what happened in Mexico will absolutely eventually be happening in here in America too. And the leftists, the soccer moms, the white Karens out there who do their little protest against ICE, they're gonna lose. They are gonna lose it if and when they see up-armored cartel trucks bashing into each other, firing machine guns on their streets.
Aiming the rival cartel's technical. You can actually see the gunners in the back of the technical getting rocked every time they ram into them. You can also see one cartel member with what appears to be a Barrett 50 cal trying to get his weapon up over the armored wall to return fire, but he just keeps getting knocked down every time they ram him.
But will they leer? Will they learn at that point? At the point that it's absolutely too late? At the point that cartels are fighting Black Hawk helicopters in the sky and the military has to come to fight them? In Arizona or in Minnesota or in California or in New York, will they have realized, will guys like the Masterson guy in that other clip that was used as a springboard, will they learn then of how they've destroyed this country and how they've participated in their own self-destruction, the destruction of their kids' futures? I don't know. I'm skeptical. If they haven't learned now, I don't know that they ever can learn. But our loyalty should be to our own nation, our own citizens. It's so basic. It's so basic. So anyway, got just a final clip here. Just wanted to share. He's got some clips here of Muslims in America saying that they would actually like to be under Sharia law. So this goes back to, is Islam compatible with the West, with America? Do Muslims, does Islam belong here? What do you think?
Check this clip out from Minneapolis. Let's get into it.
Feel more comfortable living under American law, or do you feel more comfortable living under Sharia law?
Sharia law. I'm a Muslim. I prefer Sharia law. Sharia law, yes.
You prefer Sharia law over American law?
Of course, yeah. Of course, yeah.
And do you find most of your friends feel the same way?
Yeah, of course. If you're a Muslim, yeah.
He can make his daughter marry somebody.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, he can. He has the authority, you know?
The authority to that.
Yeah, to do that, yeah.
So here, how young do you think it's okay?
Yeah, 15.
Is it right to kill somebody who insults Muhammad?
Yeah, because she is just, she hate the religion, I understand. But she shouldn't pick up the prophet, you know?
So you understand why people would want to attack her?
Yeah.
If you had a choice, would you rather live here or would you rather live in a Muslim country?
I'd rather live in a Muslim country with my people.
Would you prefer to live in America or prefer to live in Somalia?
For me, I think it's Somalia.
I would rather live in Somalia. I'm not Americanized. I just speak fluent, and I'm, you know what I mean. I'm articulate, and I can articulate what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean. That's about it. But other than that, I mean, as far as my culture and my preferences and everything, it's still Somali. You know what I mean.
Even though here you have all the freedom and stuff like that.
And even though I have all the freedom,
I think life might be better in Somalia than here.
Because now you have the freedom of it of practicing your religion while working and doing your other things.
So all these people being interviewed going, well, they want Sharia law. They'd rather be in Somalia than here. And there is another clip. I'm actually going to go back. I think this guy's in England. This is going to be my last clip here. Let's go to this.
Britain is Darul Haram because they are, anathema to God's law. They're not implementing it. They're violating His sanctity, and
that Britain's law is anathema to Allah's law. Okay, now that same sentiment would carry over to any Western nation. That would carry over to America and our Constitution.
For this is war against Allah and His Messenger. We are obliged as Muslims to take the authority away from the people who have it and implement the Sharia. Now, I hope that can come in a very peaceful way. I hope that we can do that in a way, where there's no bloodshed.
So that guy is going. This guy here, he's saying that essentially people in Western nations, people in England there, are oppressed by their laws. And that actually, like, real freedom is to be under Islamic law, under Sharia law. I think Sharia just means law, so it's like saying law. But you get the idea that he's going that actually to oppress you under Islamic law is actually your freedom. It's actually to your benefit. And that's the goal, is to push more Islamic law in England. And then, of course, the other video clip of the guy saying that they'd rather be in Somalia, and it boggles the mind. It boggles the mind how naive, how the leftists just. They don't have a problem with it. They don't know. I don't understand the mindset. I don't understand the mindset. How people cannot realize that, of course, if people make up a nation, like Afghanistan is Afghanistan because it's full of Afghanistan people and their ideology and their culture. Iran is Iran because it's made up of the Iranian culture. Shiite Islam, of course, was being ruled by the Ayatollah for the past several decades, and many people there, of course, the ones in charge and oppressing, must obviously have followed him. He must have had many millions or tens of millions of people following him, and then, of course, there's the oppressed Persian people there as well. But my point being is that the people make the nation. America is what America is because of the American people here. And when you move a group of people somewhere else, I mean, one of the very points of liberal wokeism is that people will bring their culture with them, and essentially that the host nation, that we in the West have to accommodate and change to them. That's a high virtue, is you change for them and you sacrifice your culture and society for the sake of theirs. And there's this cognitive dissonance that doesn't understand that, then that means that other culture is bringing its culture, of course. That its culture is not, it's not just food and fashion. I think the liberals think that culture is just food and fashion. I think there's this very shallow view that multiculturalism of the left is actually extremely shallow. It really doesn't bother to seek understanding what the religion of Islam really teaches. It doesn't really seek to understand what these other cultures are like. It's extremely shallow. It's just they speak a different language, and they eat different food, and they dress different, and then they have some different customs here, and it's just xenophobes don't like that, don't like anything different like that. The xenophobic conservatives don't like those things, going on jihad and things of that nature, and viewing women as less and those kind of things. Well, that's not really Islam. That's not really Islamic culture. That's some other. Just don't think about that. Just don't talk about that. That doesn't really represent them. What other cultures really are at heart, according to the liberal view, is that within them they're all. It's like they view other cultures as really that there's just a little liberal inside all of them that is going to hold up a rainbow flag and be pro-trans and well, we'll vote Democrat and give the Democratic Party more power, and we'll basically get along and just kind of whitewash anything else, because the real baddies are the white people. It's Western culture that's evil and bad, and everything about it is bad. So that means necessarily everything that comes with the cultures of brown people, of other people around the world, must necessarily be just really good and pure. And so you don't really need to learn much about it, and just kind of don't talk about the stuff that isn't good. And anyway, just shove the kids into the public school systems, and surely you'll churn out second and third generation people who are rainbow flag woke liberals anyway. And so the first generation will just kind of eventually go away. Was it who was it that said that the evil racist people just need to go ahead and die? Was it Oprah?
Still, and there's a whole generation. I say this, I said this, for apartheid South Africa. I said this for my own, community in the South. There are still generations of people, older people, who were born and bred and marinated in it, in that prejudice and racism, and they just have to die.
I think that's what the leftists maybe think. Maybe this is unconscious. Think about like the first generation minorities. They figure they'll hook them on the welfare. And it's like, oh, well, we legal, illegal. They conflate the two things and then just go, well, the left supports them anyway and wants to get them voting and on welfare rolls and all that sort of thing. And maybe if they don't actually have the woke liberal beliefs, because why would people from Islamic nations of all places have such beliefs? It's like they figure that they'll just go away. They'll just go away between the liberal media and controlling a lot of the government, and as far as the managerial intermediary sorts of positions, and of course there's blue states and cities and things, and then the education system, so journalism, education, and really embedded in all kinds of businesses. I mean, they've marched through the institutions. They figure that, well, they'll get them to come along. They can get them with the welfare and go. They support the legal and illegal immigration. No matter, it's all, everyone come here as fast as much as you can, and the left will get you on the welfare. And they figure that is so loving and kind and makes them virtuous good people, and they'll come along to all the other rainbow, woke, postmodern, Marxist kind of stuff, I guess. I mean, I don't know. If you're liberal and you watch this, like what's the mindset for the guy right here who's going essentially that Islamic law, Sharia law, is superior to Western laws, and that it needs to free us from our oppressive rights and things in the West. What's your view? So, okay, I've said a lot today. I had many videos. If you're still hanging out here, if you like what you've seen, please like and subscribe. Please drop a comment in the comments section. I went through some different videos here. I'll provide links to these people, to these channels that I got these clips from. And it's nice to just get another video made. So please leave a comment below, and I will see you next time.